Let's just
Yeah.
let's just go back to your story and how you got into wanting, like, first of all, your personal sport, which is
hmm
all the shooting sports. And
hmm
I got into archery a little bit. I have a bow and arrow,
Nice.
but only for, not for sport, but more for survival. So,
Okay.
but I do
So
understand there's
are
a,
you like Rambo?
oh no, I'm like hunting Hunger Games. Yeah,
Katniss. We got Katniss
yeah,
over
that's
here.
right.
Perfect.
I used to be when my hair was longer, but anyways, but and yeah, and it's just something, it's another thing you have to train, like really train
hmm
to get
hmm
good at. Like if you're gonna kill an animal, like you need to be bang on
Yeah,
in that.
absolutely.
But so how you got into deciding that was your
Yeah.
sport, and then how it moved you into your current business. Like I'd love to go
Mhm.
there, and then we'll just jet right into everything
Sure.
else. But
Sure.
yeah, let's go back.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier on that I grew up in the backwoods of Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking like cold country, northeastern Pennsylvania. It's kind of a lot like Texas where football is king. And, I used to go to high school in my steel toe boots and camouflage pants. Like that's
Oh,
how backwoods that we were. So I grew up hunting, fishing, shooting with my dad, and actually shot competitive archery going through high school as well with 3D targets, and did a lot of the trap and skeet with the shotgun, and then always grew up hunting with a rifle and the bow and everything like that as well. The only firearm I didn't really have a lot of practice with was a pistol. That kind of came later on in life as I started to widen my scope of, I guess, deadly tools. um,
let me just get into the
yeah,
faster shooting.
yeah. So like I've been doing that since the age of 7. Like that was like I had
Wow.
the Red Ryder BB gun, like you shoot your eye out type of thing from a Christmas
Well,
story.
we're looking at
Uh,
getting something like that so we can practice
yeah,
shooting,
but
but we're like, we got to make sure the cats aren't around.
that's where it all began. And
Yeah.
okay, so I have to tell this story real quick because
Okay, good.
I told
Stories, I
you
love
that I
stories.
was a pretty good archery shooter, and that's what I love to do from a hunting standpoint. I love bow hunting because there's so much more skill involved. There's a lot of like tracking and trying to set up like scent paths and everything. It's more gamified, I guess, in a way. It's not just, hey, I can take a pop shot at a deer like 400 yards away with a rifle. So I like that challenge, so to speak. But growing up, I grew up in an all cedar home, so in the woods on the top of a mountain in Pennsylvania. And my bedroom window actually opened up and had like an embankment that was like 30, 40 yards away. So as a kid, I would pop open that window and
Oh
take my
yeah.
bow, and I would shoot anything that happened to be walking or flying or crawling around on that embankment. So rabbits, birds, squirrels, groundhogs was another one, and I would
Oh,
pin them.
groundhogs good. Take them out.
Oh man, yeah, like
They eat your
we had
garden.
we had big groundhogs up on that mountain though too. I'm like 30-pound
Fat
groundhogs.
ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, like like the older they are, the teeth kind of curl. These groundhogs were old groundhogs. So anyway, I would shoot them and pin them to the embankment, and then usually have to go finish them off with like a 22 to the back of the head. But but that's how I got good at shooting a bow, like shooting out
Not
a narrow
good shot.
window.
You just hit them
Well,
somewhere.
I mean, 40 yards away is a decent shot. It's like a 12-year-old kid. My parents had no idea that was going on. And my dad's like, wow, you got really good at shooting a bow. I haven't seen you practice in a while. Well, I kind of was.
Did you hear
Anyway,
me from upstairs?
yeah. So that's kind of how I fell in love and got really good at all the shooting stuff. But I didn't really gravitate towards like competing in any of the shotgun stuff or anything like that. It was more of like an activity, like hobby for me. And out here in Arizona, we have some great shooting ranges with sporting clays and everything like that. And and this kind of like dovetails the whole business side of things as well, because I'm a firm believer in the universe like giving you what you're ready for. And 2016 was the year I opened up my own practice. So I had gone through a couple of years of working in the insurance-based physical therapy clinics and realized I was jumping from clinic to clinic, not because of the clinics per se, but it was the system. Like I couldn't work in a system that only allowed you to see clients every 15 minutes. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I realized it wasn't them, it was me, and way more entrepreneurial in mind. And I knew I could provide a lot more quality value to the patients. And I wanted to see them for like 90 minutes at a time, because I'm such a people person. I'm actually an introvert that's very extroverted. So whole other backstory. But anyway, so I jumped ship in 2016, didn't have a plan. I just threw a table in the back of a CrossFit gym here in Phoenix, Arizona, started seeing clients, which, I mean, gratefully it solved the time problem, right? Like I was able to see the clients when I wanted to, on my schedule, for as long as I wanted to. But the best part about that, Sylvie, is that it opened up this giant window for me to do what I love doing the most, and that's network and meet people. And what ended up happening is one of my mentors through PT school, I went to PT school at Duke and ended up doing one of my rotations in Atlanta, Georgia. He gave me a call right after Rio, so right after the Rio Olympics, and was like, would you like to have an opportunity working with some summer Olympic athletes? And I was like, say less. Who do I need to talk to?
I'm there.
Yeah. So he ended up doing work with them in like the 80s and 90s. And I guess he really liked me as a student. So I ended up giving me a call, talked to the right people. And I've been with our United States Olympic team since the end of 2016 after the Rio Games. And when they asked what team I wanted to work with, shooting was the first one that came to mind, because I gravitated towards them a lot. Like I understand their movement patterns. I understand, well, one, how they move, how they operate, how they think is another big key to that. And honestly, they were a very underserved population. Okay, so you think of the Olympics, think of gymnastics and swimming and track and field and weightlifting, which get a lot of recognition. But what most people don't understand is that our Olympic shooting team actually brings back the most medals every year. Every time we have an Olympics, we bring back the most medals, yet we don't get a lot of the recognition for it and the acknowledgement for it. Yeah, so I went to this group of athletes because they were actually seen as non-athletes, right? Because they don't run, they don't jump.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it's probably the most highly skilled athletic event when it comes to movement, because of the high skill acquisition with the hand-eye coordination and having to be able to move through different planes of motion, utilizing their feet, and actually be accurate with their gun and their timing. Because those targets, especially with the shotgun, the clay targets, they're moving at like 65 miles an hour, and you have to get 2 of them within 1.7 seconds. That's extremely fast.
Yeah, that is fast. But there's more than just that event in the Olympics,
right?
Because there's standing archery too. So and then there's skeet shooting. Like that's Olympic.
Yep. So skeet shooting, where the targets are crossing, the clay targets are crossing each other, and then trap, which is a big bunker out in front of you, and the targets move out away from you at varying angles and speeds. So yeah, and those are 2 shotgun games.
Yeah, then you have the standing archery, like where you have to hit the
different distances and targets. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you also do the same thing with pistol and rifle. So the pistol and rifle events, there's a 3-position rifle where you're laying prone on the ground, kneeling and standing, and there's varying distances for that. Yeah. And then also with the pistol, there's rapid fire pistol, and then there's varying distances of pistol competitions as well. And we have like air gun versus small bore. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts with it.
Do they even showcase that on the Olympics?
The problem is it's not very TV friendly, right?
Well, I can,
yeah.
There's not much strategy.
Yeah. Well, and they haven't, and they've been trying. They really have been trying, because I've been traveling with them for a long time, and we've been trying different ways of televising the events and gamifying it a little bit more with announcers. And the one time we were in Dubai, it was Dubai. We were in Dubai, and they tried to do like a penalty flag thing, like you do with football, and gave the coaches these like challenge flags.
Oh my gosh, how did that go?
And asked them to throw them out if they thought that their athlete actually hit the target or anything. I mean, it was entertaining. It was there. I'm sitting next to the coach. I'm like, Jay, throw the flag. I think she hit it, but just for shits and giggles. Like, I just wanted to see it happen. Like, it wasn't, you weren't given like any.
Everybody's like, what the hell? Where'd that come from?
I know. It was a fun event. So I got to give them credit for actually trying to make it more entertaining. But if you shoot and you have fun with it, and you know how the sport is being played, for lack of a better term, it is actually really fun and entertaining to watch, especially the finals.
Yeah, because when I joined the archery club here a couple years ago, they practiced inside all winter with different boards to hit, like different distances in a gym. And then outside here, they have a club that's outside and they have a whole circuit where you can go and you hit like, the stuffed deer and things like that. So you have to go around, and they have competitions for that too. And that is, for me, would be really entertaining to kind of watch over like just a standing thing. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was super interesting to know. And they're like, yeah, it's like competitions every weekend. What there's competitions, like I could be competitive in this.
Oh yeah.
And then I started looking at everybody else's bows and arrows, and I started having bow and arrow envy. And then
Sylvie, it is, I kid you not, like you think like you're a cyclist. I know how much your bikes cost.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like $10,000 plus. And the same thing with the shotguns. They start at like $13,000 with the bows. Like my bow is a few $1,000s as well, with all the different add-ons I have onto it. And the arrows are expensive, just like the ammunition's expensive. So it adds up real quick, especially when you're a high performer with it.
Especially when you're practicing with those bows and it splits. You're like, fuck, there's a $10 bow. Crap.
Oh yeah. So I was shooting in my backyard. I have exactly like a 30-yard distance from end to end. And I put up well, two things happened. I put up one of those like box targets. So it's just like a big bag, and that
I have one of those.
Stops the arrow. Well, okay, so I've got a 70-pound draw weight on my bow, right?
Oh.
And I shoot.
But that's a compound bow.
It's a compound bow. It's not a recurved, and it's got a 400 grain arrow. So my arrows are buzzing, like they're moving fast. And I had the bag up against. Well, I had the bag up against. They have the big
metal piece on, like.
Yeah. The field tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had the bag up against the cinder block wall, and I shot my first shot, and son of a bitch, the arrow went through the target and put a hole in the cinder block. That's how fast that arrow was moving.
Whoa.
Didn't break the arrow or anything. It just kind of went in there. And then that same day, I did something I've never done in my life before, which is actually split the arrow with another arrow. And it wasn't intentional. It just happened. But the same thing came to mind. I was like, well, there's $12 down the drain now. It's like, shit.
Like, that was fabulous. Take a picture. Fuck.
Took a picture. Yeah, I could send you that then. I could actually document it.
Yeah.
I had to.